We got Jordie Ammons. Am I pronouncing that right?
Ammons, yeah.
Ammons?
Yeah.
New name.
Yeah, new name.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Grant Rogers, the first return guest.
Back again.
On Hill Climbers. Thank you so much for coming back on. Yeah, I mean, it's, man, guys, it's been, 4 years since Breakfast Club has launched? When did you guys launch?
It was August of 2020?
Late 2020.
Late 2020, okay.
And we paused for a bit, and I feel like the real official start was like late 2021.
Okay.
Something like that.
So, yeah.
All right, so not quite 4 years, but getting there. How does it feel to be 4 years into it? Does it still feel new, or what inning are we in?
You know what? I would say this year, it's like last year we had perfect weather with the rain, no rain for any ride, and then this year we've just not had that same luck. So there's a little bit of I think just logistics that we have to deal with more this year than last year. So
yeah, always learning.
Yeah.
There's less smooth sailing this year.
Right.
We're in the inning where we're having some competition from the weather.
Okay. and why don't we do this just for those folks that are not initiated? I guess Grant, why don't you give kind of high level just what Breakfast Club is, and then obviously we will be going into detail moving forward.
Yep. It's started as a weekly group ride. And it's kind of evolved into this team of 30 ride leaders who host essentially like a Grand Fondo style ride every month. And it's once a month now. And we have rides that can approach up to 800 people. And we have like 4 or 5 pace groups. We have police escorts. It's this crazy kind of like community event that everyone comes together for. So it's turned into like this small community to like this thing that everyone comes together for.
And the vibes are great. And that's part of what makes it so special, right? It's super inclusive, and like you said, there's something for everyone. It's not just for the weekend warriors hammering their bike. It's also for the newcomers.
Correct.
Well, great. And yeah, I guess we had introduced Grant and Jake Ritter, another Breakfast Club co-founder, on the first episode of Hill Climbers. So for folks that are curious about kind of the full origin story, check out that episode. But for this show, now that we're almost 4 years in, we wanted to dig a little bit more into a third kind of partner in Breakfast Club and talk about what Jordie has been up to, and really focus on the female rider demographic with Breakfast Club and maybe with Austin too a little bit. So yeah, I guess Jordie, what's your story? How'd you start riding bikes? And,
yeah, how'd I get here?
Yeah, kind of one of my favorite questions.
Yeah, so, and it's a good question. So I've been riding bikes for about 11 years. I've been in Austin for about 12 years. Started riding bikes, from the gun.
Who got you into, like, how did that come about?
Yeah, so good question. So I actually got into endurance sports, I guess, through marathoning. Mm-hmm. Did a couple of marathons, half marathons, and then, of course, next step is like, this is so monotonous, I need to do a triathlon. So did, a couple half Ironmans.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I got into the whole biking aspect of it.
Right.
But I mean, for me, it was not such a warm welcome, just because it's a very male-dominated sport. It's a very egotistical sport. So I had lived in Dallas for a year and a half, and I got introduced kind of to like a group ride through my friend's dad. And as you know, like, men that have been riding bikes for 40 or 50 years, like, they're incredibly strong and powerful. And it was just like, I had no business being there. They didn't want me there, but I kept showing up. I would get dropped. I didn't have all the fancy bike gear.
And were you more or less the only woman in that group?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Only woman, and like,
this is formative.
Yeah, junior by like 30 years.
Wow.
So I was in my early 20s, and it's just, it was the like kind of baptism by fire. Like, no one's gonna sit down and like tell me how to do this or tell me how to change a flat. I YouTubed it. I figured out myself. I figured out the etiquette on my own. So fast forward to, I guess, coming back to Austin.
And set the stage. What year was it?
This was I was back in Austin in 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did a lot of riding around town, just on my own. I had gone to a couple group rides in town. They weren't like super welcoming because they all race. You know, there was nothing that is like a casual ride. There's a couple older groups in Austin that are a little bit more tame, pace-wise. That, you know, it's just like, okay, this is. So I did the majority of my riding solo, until actually Justin Siegel, who's one of the other co-founders. I run with him. I ran with him at Raw Running, one of the running groups in town. And I can't remember if he had texted me or posted it on Instagram or something, but that's how I got introduced. They hosted a ride. I showed up, met Grant. I think that was back when like I could do there was no A group. It was like we all rode together.
One group.
And yeah, it was like I forget, it was you
So that's when you two first met, basically.
Yes.
So it's funny, so there was our first Breakfast Club ride happened, and I was not here for it. And so my first Breakfast Club ride was the second ride, which was actually Jordie's first Breakfast Club ride. So we've done as many rides together.
All
Yes.
right.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
And I love that you guys met through Breakfast Club. I did not realize that. I didn't know.
Yeah,
if you two
we
knew
had
each
like
other
kind
from-
of decided that we probably met in college. We both went to UT. We had overlapping friend groups, so I think we crossed paths at some point,
Right.
but like formally started a friendship, and you know, at Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
All those, you know, it's only been 4 years ago, but it feels a lot longer.
It was
than
a
that.
ride to Buda, and we were sitting at that coffee shop in Buda, and we're like, "Oh, nice to meet you," and then
Yeah.
rode all the way back, and yeah,
Yeah.
Awesome.
that's the founding
Awesome.
story.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think everyone listening should note that your entree into, you know, road riding was not warm and fuzzy.
No.
And I think and you had done a lot of riding solo by yourself, which and that same with me.
Yeah.
I think at this point we almost take group riding and like Breakfast Club like groups for granted. It was a little lonely. It's a little bit weird when you're first getting
and
started, right?
It's such like a, you know, for me, like I tried my hand at group rides in Austin. It was very cliquey, and I was just like, I'm better off just riding by myself.
Yeah.
So no, it wasn't warm and fuzzy. It was a lot of like self-taught education, like through like what do I do? How do I change a flat? What if my chain drops? I remember when I was in Dallas riding with those older guys, you know, I didn't realize there was a Strava segment coming up, and I'm pulling my heart out on the front of the group, and then they just bury me and
Yeah.
left me for dead. And like I was just
Quotation mark drop ride.
like, yeah,
Right.
yeah, a very hard drop ride.
Right.
So my mom, like when she saw me after the ride, and she was like, "You look like you've been drugged behind a truck for the past 35 miles." And I go, I feel that way.
Right.
Did you feel like the first Breakfast Club ride that that one that we were on, like an immediate difference from like the other?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, well, and that's the other thing too, is like you roll up to these rides and you immediately like start like checking out everyone's bikes, and everyone has like the top of the line stuff, and I'm like, okay, my chain's rusty, like, you know. But no, it was very manageable, which I think obviously that's huge, you know.
But
not
those
just for
first
me,
yeah.
but just for anybody that's like wanting something that's approachable. It's like, okay, this pace is manageable. It's not as intimidating. I don't have to train up to go to a group ride, which I've had, you know, that's how I felt like back.
Totally.
My first group rides.
It's a bit of a ragtag group, right? You roll up and people have different bikes, different gear.
Oh, yeah.
It's not all super professional looking, and that's totally fine. right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's a great story. Thanks
Yeah.
for sharing. So I guess I wanted to ask you about the start of the Babes ride and how that came about, and I guess maybe taking one more step back, your involvement with Breakfast Club becoming a little bit more formalized in a leadership position.
Yeah, so Babes kind of culminated on its own. There was a smaller group of girls that I actually ran with, and we all started meeting together actually at Meteor. So we have never left. We left, I think, briefly, but we're back. But yeah, so there was a small group of my running friends that we started riding bikes together, and then it kind of just snowballed.
And I think, to go way back, I think there was at least one or two from Me Nine Cat. Right?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Another Austin favorite, especially
a
for
little
the
dive
runners.
bar.
Yeah.
So we started kind of, they were new to it. Was kind of the same thing that I was trying to do, like back when I first started riding. They're new to the sport, so I kind of took them under my wing and said, okay, like I'll ride with you. I know some of the routes in Austin. I can fix minor mechanicals, not anything like catastrophic, but so kind of just rules of the road, how to interact with each other in a group. And so then from there, it kind of, I was riding with Breakfast Club, kind of doing this like women's ride on the side, and then we kind of just merged just because there's absolutely a space for it. I think that it creates a softer entry point for women to come into Breakfast Club, just because
a safe space.
Yeah.
And men need a safe space too, but a safe space for women.
Yeah, well, and it's also like you don't feel like you're being mansplained something. Like if somebody, like this is how you, like, coaching that you didn't ask for.
Amen.
Yeah, so for me, it was like creating a safe space. You can ask questions. You're here to also build community. That's what our like whole thing is like we just want to make new friends and be a part of the community, and it being a welcoming environment.
Right.
So it kind of just picked up steam. We had tossed around the idea of once Breakfast Club scaled back to once a month, should we scale Babes back to once a month, just because it's a heavy lift to lead a ride once a week, especially whenever there's fewer women than there is men. But I think the value of the women's ride is like hugely important. And also like the women's ride leaders that we have are like, I couldn't do it without them. They're phenomenal. They're the reason why it's so successful. It's just because they've also created that kind of same ethos of like creating a safe space and making it warm and welcoming.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is still weekly?
Mm-hmm.
And what day and what?
Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. from Meteor still. So
Okay.
unless it's raining, then we will also cancel.
So I've noticed, this was recently, this was a couple months ago, rode past you all, and it was a pretty sizable group.
Oh, yeah.
So how has it sort of grown over the last 3.5 years?
Yeah, so I mean, I think we started with like maybe 5 or 6 girls, and now, whenever the weather's nice, we'll have out, 40. I think we've hosted a couple Saturday rides where we've had like 120 women come out.
Wow.
Which is great. I told Grant, I was like, we need our own police escort for this. This is
real.
getting out of control. But I think, I think there's something to be said that it's a casual, we're not trying to tear each other's legs off. We're just like, we go up Mount Bonnell, that's our big climb, and then we come back and drink wine afterward. So
I think I'll throw a caveat in there. There are probably points where you guys do get a little competitive, right?
We rate.
It's not drop, but there's still some really fast women that are edging out others.
Yeah,
right?
we ride hard up Mount Bonnell, but after that we're chilling.
And that's the Breakfast
Okay.
Club way, is like ride hills, ride them hard, regroup.
Or
and
if you
keep
don't want to
going.
ride the hills at all, like just chill.
Yeah.
We'll meet you at the top.
Yeah.
So
I would like to like call out like how amazing it is like watching that from the outside, because it's kind of like how Breakfast Club started. We didn't start it to become this huge thing. It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
And Jordie didn't start that women's ride to create this huge thing. It just happened. And so it's kind of amazing to like see like how what has happened on the bigger club level has just happened in a bit more like of an intimate way within the women's community as well.
And
so.
but let's categorize intimate, because when I was riding past you all, that was a big group.
It's a big group.
For a 40-person group ride in another city is the size of the whole group ride.
Mm-hmm.
You know
That's
what I mean?
small
And
here
we're
now. Yeah.
we're talking about just women. So I think like that's not something I'm gonna forget. Like I really was super impressed and thought it was so cool. I mean, really big accomplishment for you all and for the city.
Mm-hmm.
How many women do you think were at the first ride that we were on, the Buta ride?
the Buta ride?
Yeah.
maybe like 3.
Yeah, not that many. So it's really amazing
Yeah.
to see like how it's grown.
I think too something that like I feel very proud of is when you do roll into the Big Breakfast Club ride, it is almost a 50-50 split male female.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite, but it's close. It's close. It's not your typical like 1-to-20 ratio that you get at normal rides.
It is very apparent how well represented women are at most Breakfast Club events, and yeah. So if we're talking about 400, 500 people showing up on a Saturday, maybe a couple hundred of those are women.
Yeah,
and it's just,
absolutely.
just awesome. Well, thank you for diving into that.
Yeah.
Beyond consistent sort of weekly rides, anything else planned for Babes, or just kind of keeping it steady?
I think we're gonna continue to keep it steady. One of the things that is nice about the Babes ride is it's geared towards beginners. So we do ride the same route just because not everyone has the fancy bike computers. So it's like if you do it enough times, you're familiar, you know what's coming, it's predictable. That said, too, though, is you get the women that are past the beginner stage, and they've been matriculating out, and so, Grant and I have talked about different ways of like continuing
A
to
group,
keep
B
them,
group.
continuing to bring them back, and so, I think we're gonna do some kind of faster, longer routes just so they can continue to be a part of that same community. I would love to take we've talked about this too. One of our other ride leaders, Bianca, is just like a Babes trip, like an El Rey type trip, but only for women. So that will require more planning.
Yeah, but it sounds like a great idea, and only a matter of time. That's awesome.
So no, but I mean, just consistency. I mean, also, there's always been this. I've found that the women in Austin that have been riding for years, like they ride to race. They all ride to race, and we don't necessarily do that, which is why I think we've been successful in the growing aspect. But if there are women, because there are also women that are new to the sport that do want to race, and so also creating a space for them to kind of make that jump, whether they want to do the driveway or they want to do, or some like road race or a gravel race, like making sure that everyone's needs are being met.
Yeah.
If they want to ride casual, cool. If you want to go race, we can help you get that way too.
And I think that's a really great point. And I can speak from personal experience, like that onboarding ramp from casual sort of indoctrination, getting up to speed, no pun intended, on how the bike works, on where you can go race and upcoming events and support around that, I think is really valuable, because in other clubs in other cities that that's not offered.
Right. But I mean, I think we just have we just have volume no matter what we do. And so I think we have to be able to cater to that, it's a hard thing to balance, but if that's what people and women are wanting to do, I want to be able to fully support them in that.
I think one of the tools, or one of the things that Breakfast Club has used to help foster what the community has become is progression. It's you can show up in D group and see C group, B group, A group, and oh, I have all this growth, and you can learn and you can work your way up. And I think that if Babes Ride can lean into that progression too, it's then you can not just have that beginner level, but you can have an A and B group, you can have an A, B, C group, whatever. You can have these varied rides that lean into that progression aspect and really do help you grow as a cyclist.
And you're doing it in real time with other cyclists, with making friends and having a support group, a team.
Absolutely.
Well, great. So another important development recently this year is the Breakfast Club membership, and that is a paid membership, kind of subscription, annual, I guess you could say, which I've opted in for and already benefited from. So yeah, I guess for folks that are not familiar with it, can you lay out what that is and what the value is, and we can dive in?
Yeah. I guess first I'll just kind of set the stage of we work with brands a lot, and we get a lot of questions on when we ask for support it's like, what do they get in return, or how big is Breakfast Club, or like how many people can we like touch base with? And so we launched a membership, free and paid, to just say, hey, here's like, are you a Breakfast Club member? Do you want to say that you're a part of this club? And then we can, and on our side, be like, hey, our club, sure, we have rides up to 800 people. We have an Instagram following of this. It's like, here's actually like how big our club is. So that was like our goal in launching this membership.
How many opted in for the freemium?
Yeah, so we have like 600.
Wow.
Free, and we have 100 paid. So
after
we can
having
say,
just launched a few months ago.
Yeah. So and it's kind of cool to see that, because it makes sense. Like our rides can be 700 to 800 people at times. That's our biggest, and it's like, okay, that's about how many say they're in our club, which is cool, because our Slack is almost 2,000, but that's just grown through word of mouth. So it's nice to see that like the numbers do kind of make sense.
Yeah. And by the way, sorry, shout out to the Slack community. If you're not on there, go and how do people need an invitation or?
Yeah, it's all been grown through word of mouth, right?
Yeah,
sort of like
you can be added just if somebody's already in there, just giving that person your email address, they can add you.
Right.
So.
Or if you DM Breakfast Club, I'll add you.
Yeah.
Yeah. DM Breakfast Club. There you go. Grant will add you into the Slack community, but it's thriving like I've never seen. I mean, and there are various channels. The most exciting one is the Gear Swap one, where a lot of product changes hands regularly, but then the community is really active, promoting just casual rides, formal rides, races, anything bike related in Austin.
Sometimes
it's really,
not even bike related. Sometimes people are trying to foster dogs and get,
Good point.
Yeah.
Get a roommate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Right. Sorry, Grant. I
No,
cut you
no,
off.
no. But yeah. I mean, that's part of the amazing thing. And so like, this membership was just launched to kind of tie all of that together, because we had all these kind of avenues. And we're like, hey, how do we bring all of our community in one place to connect us with them and our partners? And so we did want to launch a limited paid option as well, simply because we wanted to be able to like stand on our own two legs in a way. It's like we are a completely free ride. You can just show up to everything we do. But with that, we have costs. And so it's like, hey, we have sometimes up to 6 vehicle escorts at a ride. That's not free. We have to absorb that, or our partners do. So up to this point, up until this year, it was kind of a sponsorship model. It's right. Like, hey, like, we work with these brands. They're amazing. They're a part of our community, but like we're asking for funds to do what we do. We wanted to kind of create that on our own by working with our partners and saying, hey, how can we tie all of these like loose ends and be like, hey, here's what you can directly provide our community. Here's what we can provide you. And then we kind of like put that together into what we call our paid subscription, like annual model. I mean, yeah, you're a member, like we have the meter in there, and it's like, hey, if you're a member, you get free coffee a day. You get always happy hour pricing. You get a couple free bike wash-ups or tune-ups a year.
And shout out to the Meteor, expanding rapidly into Bentonville, already open, Dallas already open.
Yeah.
Fayetteville is opening soonish. And if you're a Breakfast Club member, the membership extends to those locations as well.
Yeah. Like we kind of joke, it's like you could not even ride a bike and just like coffee, and the membership would be worth it. And just free coffee a day,
literally,
which is awesome, and we're very thankful for that. But that was kind of like the thing this year was like we wanted to open 100 of these paid slots and just see how it does and make sure that we can actually do it right, and we don't have say we opened up way more and we have like 500 people going to the Meteor to get bike washes or tune-ups. It's like we want to make sure that we can do it right. And so a couple months in, we've filled up all the slots and we're just trying to really nail it.
Awesome.
One thing I think that was very powerful in our we had asked the people that were paid members, why did you buy this? Is it the value that we're providing you? Like, do you think it's beneficial and that's why you want to buy it? And I would say 90% of the people said, we just want to support what you guys are doing.
That's what I said.
Yeah. And it was just it gave me goosebumps, because I was like, damn,
it
that
blew
is
our minds.
we're over here scratching our brain okay, we have to provide more value. We have to make this financially beneficial for our members, that way they want to buy it. But they're like, no, we're just happy with what you guys do and we want to support. And I'm like,
wow.
Which I think is so incredible.
Powerful.
Yes.
Really
Very
powerful.
Cool. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah.
And yeah, I guess that is exactly, I think that was the first comment I made in that questionnaire, and it's true. It's and I've said this on the show before, but my wife and I moved here 3.5 years ago, and so much of our friend group and community was built from, you know, Breakfast Club and the tangentially. So it's something that is kind in a way priceless, and I think we're so proud to be living in Austin and part of the community and scene, and like perpetuating that. I think especially with Austin having such a massive influx of folks like us from the outside, like we want it to be special forever, and part of that is Breakfast Club and things like it.
Right. Well, thank you. Yeah, it is very special, and that's like an amazing thing that Jordie said about like how it's like what we created is truly just like a little part of the bigger thing that everyone like wants to be and like wants to feel special being a part of. So
and that also, just from a business perspective, converting I don't know what percentage 1 in 6 is, but converting 100 or so it was 600 just the freemium.
Yeah, I think we have about over 600.
Okay, and then 100 is either part of that or on top of that. That's a really good percentage to get people opting in.
Yeah.
So back to the we did the warm and fuzzy part. Back to the value for the membership. We talked about the Meteor. What else is included?
So we partner with Specialized Austin. You know, they, depending on if you're paid or free membership. So paid membership, I mean, you get 15% off of a bike. If you buy a bike from them, you get free tires.
Yep.
I can't remember all the things.
20% off equipment.
20% off of equipment. I could pull it up.
We work with Scratch Labs as well, and we do member orders at 25% off product. Potter Mall is our apparel partner. We get 25% off product through group orders there. We have Eastside Movement Company in there now, and they're very much a part of our homegrown community. They've been there since day one, and they're offering physical therapy to our members and trying to break down the barriers of that, because, you know, that's something everyone will deal with if they have not already by riding a bike so much. But essentially, like, trying to put all those pieces together, and it's for $1 a day was our model. So it's like for $1 a day, an annual subscription, you can get, you know, all of that. So
I hadn't heard that tagline for the membership before.
Because it's
and especially when coffee costs $3.50 or $4.
It's $4.50 at Meteor.
Yeah, so there you go. Like, so you could literally just drink the membership and coffee.
I know. But if you buy a bike, I mean, it's crazy amount how much money you can save just with through just the bike Specialized Austin aspect of it.
And a set of tires that I've already picked up, you know, they're $100 for a set, right? So there you go.
Yeah, it adds up quickly if you're actually using it, which is what we wanted to do with that. We're like, hey, if, you know, you're a part of everything that we've built with our partners and you actually lean into us and our partners, it's an absolute no-brainer.
Is there, you and I talked about this a little bit the other day, is there part of the membership sponsors that you want to keep local to keep local Austin flavor and your members interacting with entrepreneurs and brands that are here in our backyard?
Yeah, I think we intentionally kind of launched it to be like, if you're in Austin, this makes sense. Sure, we do have members in Dallas, and we have some members in Bentonville, and there are Meteors there, but we wanted to be able to say, like, Austin is our home. Can we do it here? And then if we can, we would love to grow that and be like, all right, it also makes sense for a lot of people in Dallas or Bentonville or other cities to be a part of this, because it breaks down barriers there too.
Right.
But we intentionally try to stay like very organic and local, which I think is what we've done like up until this point, and everything is like we haven't tried to like grow rapidly outside of Austin. And
I think too, like, our partners that we have partnered with, they've supported us from essentially day one. You know, Specialized, they
came to the Babes Ride.
Right? They come to the Babes Ride every week. But I mean, they've been showing up for us since day one without like us like formally asking them to do that. And so that, for me, like for us, has gone a really long way, just because it's like, okay, they're supporting us. They're in the community. They're actively in the community with us to help us achieve our goals. And so, I mean, I think it makes perfect sense. And, you know, it's kind of just all happened somewhat organically.
Symbiotic.
So
we kind of covered Austin, and now you guys are doing rides in Dallas. You're doing rides in Bentonville as well, or can we talk about Breakfast Club expanding outside of Austin and what the latest news is with those developments?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it does stem from and is rooted in our partnership with the Meteor, because they are kind of like our home outside of our big home of Central Machine Works. And they have cafes in Dallas and Bentonville and Fayetteville soon, and soon to be other cities. And we would love to grow with them and provide like that feel that we have in Austin in these other areas that might need that. When we started Breakfast Club, there was a gap that we saw that could be filled and should be filled, and we did. And obviously, we created a space that a lot of people feel comfortable being in. And so, are there spaces like that in Dallas or other areas where that we can go and actually connect people in amazing ways like we've done here?
Great. And can you talk a little bit more just specifically about what you're offering in Dallas and Bentonville?
Mm-hmm. So right now we have, 2 Dallas rides and 2 Bentonville rides this year. So it's like 8 Meteor rides, 4 in Austin, 2 in Dallas, 2 in Bentonville.
Mm-hmm.
As they open more cafes, we will be doing rides out of those cafes as well. So it kind of looks like everyone kind of goes up from Austin on a weekend and joins the Dallas community. We actually just had Nick Weber, a ride leader who's been a part of our crew for a long time, just moved home to Dallas, and he's like,
"Say it ain't so, Nick.
I'm gonna do more rides up there." And so
Yeah.
it's just once again just how it's just played out, and so it kind of makes sense now that we do more up
Diaspora.
there.
Yeah.
And I think too, like whenever, we've, through just cycling in general, we've met so many people in different cities like Chicago or on the East Coast, on the West Coast. So I think as Meteor continues to open up and we kind of follow in their footsteps just because it's a soft landing spot for us and they're a partner of ours, we've identified, the movers and shakers in those communities, where I think we could rinse and repeat what we've done here in Austin.
Yeah, and that brings up a great question. Keeping it real, keeping the Breakfast Club culture and vibe consistent throughout these different locations. What's the strategy there? How do you maintain it?
We haven't done it yet, so it's a good question. Well, I think it'll evolve. I mean, Grant, you could probably give your 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I think about that a lot because I'm like, should it feel the exact same way, or should it feel like adapt to those places? Because I mean, we know it tried and true here, but it's like it happened here. It's very much a part of Austin. It feels very Austin. Should it feel slightly different in Dallas, or should it feel slightly different in some other city? Because not all cities feel the same. And so I don't know. I think we'll kind of just see what happens, and we'll see how Nick does it up in Dallas, and we'll see if it feels a bit different or how it works. I mean, I don't think you can have 6 police escorts in every city, that we would do rides in. So I just think that it will look and feel different.
Yeah.
But I thought it will always be rooted in that, like, anyone can show up, and with that, people in other cities are different, so you never know who's going to show up and what that'll
Core
feel like.
ethos.
Yeah, that DNA, the inclusive DNA, I imagine, is probably the most important part. And again, Jordie and I touched on this. That is what's special and unique. A welcoming ride where the ride leaders are lending a hand and not dropping everyone.
Right.
So yeah, that's really exciting. And then I wanted to check in just online on Instagram. Is kind of the following continuing to grow there? Are you getting messages, feedback from other geographies outside of Austin that want something like Breakfast Club in their town?
Yeah, I mean, I think we draw. Well, Grant has done a really phenomenal job of just like making our Instagram look really sexy, so people like to follow it. But no, I mean, I think there's people that, what I think is unique, people that come in from Austin that travel into town will plan their trips around our rides, and so it's kind of this destination thing that they can do while they're in town. But as far as like, I don't know, you're on the Instagram more than I am in the DMs. I answer them every once in a while, but I get overwhelmed.
It continues to grow socially, which is, I think, like a testament to just the brand that we've created around what is a community and like a group ride. I was actually giving a presentation on Breakfast Club last week at like Pottermall Studios Brand Summit, and like they were like, what is it that y'all do and why is it so big? And I think like a big part of why is because we've created this brand around an experience that can translate outside of Austin, and people can like, as we like travel and meet other people, they're like, I feel part of it too. Like, I love Breakfast Club. I want to wear a T-shirt, and then it just kind of like grows from there.
Creates a cult.
Yeah.
We created a cult.
A
cult-like following.
that's how you know you created a cult.
Yeah.
If the Panormal execs are asking you what the secret sauce is, that's some pretty high praise.
Yeah,
I feel
it was
like.
really cool. It was really amazing to be able to speak about it, and kind of like go from the beginning and like find these themes that have worked that can maybe translate to other cities that don't have a big community or are looking to build community.
I think one of the things too that is our ride leaders. They're all of the same mindset, and they are so like, I feel like it's the people that make this thing what it is. We truly couldn't do it without them. They are the ones that are taking time on their weekends and their Saturdays and stopping on the side of the road to fix mechanicals or, helping. No one has to do that.
Yeah.
And so I think they've helped create that kind of, warm feel whenever you come to Breakfast Club. It's like, oh, like this is not a threatening environment.
Yeah.
Which I think for us, I don't know, will that be difficult when we move into other markets to find those people? I hope not, but
that's
I think
the question.
It'll be, it's a question mark. So.
I think you asked like earlier on, it was like how Jordie like then built the Babes Ride and everything is because she just literally showed up every single day. She's like, I want to help this thing. And that's how all of our ride leaders have been. Like, we all just show up to help this thing because we all get a lot back from it. And so I think that those people will just identify themselves along the way.
There, for me, there's not much more exciting than getting someone into cycling.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I agree.
It's the best, right?
Yeah.
It's the best. I've succeeded with a few friends, and it makes me very happy, guys. Okay, great. So
it's like, now you've invested all this money, you have to ride with me. Right?
Well, yeah, the first bike is all that's the hurdle for people.
Big barrier to entry.
Yeah.
All right, great. We're moving right along. Being into it for 3.5 years, are there any recently surprises? It can be something really, really positive, and it can be something negative, one of each.
I'm trying to think. The only negative thing I could think of this year is the damn weather.
Yeah, which for Texas is not usually raining as consistently. We had a very rainy spring.
Yeah, I think what comes from like a cool perspective on that is like now, like I used to think everything we did was so dependent on like in-person connection and in-person rides, but we have now like the tools of social media or our Slack or whatever, where even if we don't ride, like our rides have arguably gotten, like our third one is like we didn't even do it today, and our first two were kind of rained out. It doesn't really matter because the community still goes on and everything we're doing still goes on. And so I think it's that like connection outside of the rides that is kind of like, okay, this is no longer dependent on riding in person, which has kind of been a really amazing thing to realize and kind of a relief as well, because it's like we don't have to stretch ourselves so thin on doing a ride every weekend per se, because the connection's already there and people will ride with others. We actually, going in this year, we have a new team member. His name is Zolan, and he has built us an app, and we now have this app where we have some cool things coming out that will allow people to like connect outside of our big rides on an even easier way. And so I think that's been a cool like realization this year, was like, all of our rides could get rained out and this thing still goes on.
Yeah. Yeah, and thanks for bringing up the app. That launched basically right in line with the paid and sort of freemium memberships. What can you kind of outline the features and what you have planned for the product roadmap?
It's we needed something as we're like connecting our partners with members. We needed something like a tool to do that. So when you show up to the Meteor, you can redeem your coffee, or you can connect with Specialized Austin in a seamless way to like get a bike or get those tires. And so the app is our way of doing that first and foremost. It's like put something in on your phone in the hands of everyone that you can show up to the meeting and be like, scan this, I'm a Breakfast Club member. That was the first use case. The second use case was like have a centralized place for everyone to see what we're doing. We can post on Instagram, we can put stuff on Slack, or we can put stuff on Strava. To have like our own home of like our events and what's going on is pretty special and powerful for us. There's a member list in there, so it's like even for your paid, you can go in and see who's a Breakfast Club member, what's their favorite breakfast food. Kind of this funny thing just to kind of like break down the barriers of who all is a part of it. And then we'll have a new feature coming out called like Rides, or like the Rides tab. And that's like pretty exciting, and Zolan's working really hard on that. And that's the kind of the ATX Rides channel in Slack will kind of move into app form, which is going to be a cool thing for us.
Nice. And will that is the plan to have just official Breakfast Club rides and pop-ups on there, or is there going to be more features?
So I don't want to go into too much detail because
Okay.
Zolan is really working hard and is really excited about kind of surprising the world with this.
All right.
But it's like,
All right.
if you think about how we've used Strava on the club level, we're trying to like allow people to do that on the person-to-person level.
Very
So,
cool.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
And again, for everyone can download the app,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
The
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
freemium
Yeah.
is free.
Yep.
Download it, check it out. And yeah, I do want to say it's been the sponsorship integration is really I think well thought out, well done. With Specialized, for example, you within the app are given a text, like a phone number, so you can text the Specialized support and people will get back to you immediately. And then, like Grant said, I guess it's an integration with the POS at the Meteor, very straightforward.
Yeah.
So it's become a Breakfast Club experience on your phone, and by the way, that probably wasn't the easiest thing to pull off.
Yeah, Zolan.
It's all Zolan, but he's
Yeah.
made it. It's like very gamified, almost like it's a very interactive app, which
Yeah.
he's just done a totally phenomenal job on it.
Will Bryant made custom little icons. It
Yeah.
feels Breakfast Club. It doesn't feel like this stale app. So
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, the design is really fun. UI UX are great.
yeah, we have some like lofty goals for it too, because it is in beta right now, so we want to take it out of beta eventually and have these kind of robust features be a part of it. And is there a way for us to see who attends our rides the most through this app? Is it like an in-person QR code at some point that then you're like, hey, I went to all these Breakfast Club rides this year, and we can see that? Or you maybe Strava has like a trophy case. Do we have our own little like, I went to these official
Yeah.
rides, I went to these
Get a
media
badge.
rides, and we can see who's
showing up.
Yeah, who
and
shows up
also
the
like
most.
what kind of rides they're doing, because we are more than just like the big Breakfast Club rides. We have gravel, we have other rides that we have loaded into the app now, and so I think it would help us and also it like helps us to go back to our partners and say, hey, these are very important metrics. Like this is who's showing up, this is what they're doing, this is what they're riding.
Yeah.
How can we better support them?
I love this. This is very, very
Yeah,
exciting.
it's exciting.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And not to get too creepy, but geofencing Central Machine.
Oh,
And
I do love Central Market too.
we're not going to geofence Central Market. Yeah, for those that don't know, that's a Texas grocery store, supermarket.
yeah, Zolan jokes, he says Breakfast Club is a tech company now, and I'm like, dude, you do your thing, but it's amazing what he's building for us, and
Yeah.
it's just like a layer on top of everything that is like the in-person foundation. So,
Yeah, and data is important these days for businesses trying to grow and monetize and like you said, keep sponsors around. So that's really exciting and yeah. Hopefully, so as far as membership, I mean, do you think Breakfast Club is still growing? Do you see folks coming in, new faces? Do you have a way to measure that, or?
We do a raise of hands at the beginning of the ride.
we always have a lot of hands that are
Yeah.
raised at a ride, but I think that everything does seem to continue to just like grow. Obviously, we haven't had a good ride to really see how big we are this year.
Yeah.
But I bet we'll be just as big as last year. And I think like we're trying to diversify where not everyone shows up to a single ride. So just to see how many people do continue to show up across our gravel rides, our media rides, and our big rides just shows that like this thing is healthy and amazing.
Yeah. So looking into the future, what lofty, ambitions do you have for the club and we talked about the app, but events and culture and where are you guys taking this?
We have an exciting like addition to kind of like our tool belt coming soon. We're working with one of our partners, Palmer Mall, to bring a van to life for us. So
all right.
we launched membership to help kind of fund this venture, and we think that this van will be able to give back to our community in a really, really cool way. And so in a few weeks we will have a Breakfast Club van around town, a support van. It's going to be really special. It's going to be awesome. It'll look cool, but it's also going to be not only just like a presence for us anywhere we go. It'll be on the top of climbs during a ride. It'll be, following our C group or our D group in case anyone has mechanicals or needs to be picked up. It'll allow us to really kind of lean in more, I think, in Austin and outside of Austin. So that is like a goal we've had for a long time, is like, can we have our own mobile thing, permanent thing? And so that's our first kind of...
Got a pop-up cafe right there.
I know. Well, I think too, it's like as we do go into other markets, like we have our branding associated with the rides that are taking place in those areas. Because right now it's like, okay, we'll put our kits on, but to have something that's a little bit of a bigger splash, I think will be awesome. We did toss around the idea of doing like a brick and mortar, and it's like, we're going to be on the road. Like,
but talk about our little permanent thing we're building, Essential.
Oh yeah. So we're building out a container that's like a pop-up shop at Central Machine Works.
Oh, wow.
So any new merch or anything that we come out with or specialize, we'll have, things where you can buy at Central Machine Works from Breakfast Club.
That is so exciting.
So
it's this like fully finished shipping container that has a garage door that opens and you can like walk inside. It has power. And say you show up and you flat during the ride and you need a tube or you forgot your bottles or something, it'll kind of be this like permanent place for us there that like Will Bryant's going to paint the outside. It's going to look and feel like Breakfast Club, and it'll kind of be this like we have a home at Central now going forward, and it's going to be like really nice.
And when does that arrive? When
it's at Central
it's
right
already
now.
there. Okay, we're just slowly building it out.
That is so
hopefully by
exciting.
I
next
have a
ride.
construction team. It's Jake McKnight.
Shout out Jake, one of the OG ride leaders, and I guess
tool
jack
belt.
of all trades.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's so exciting. And Jordie mentioned to have the van, to have the actual brick and mortar location established. Those are huge steps for Breakfast Club. I think from a brand and just seeing a Breakfast Club van all over Austin, the club is going to get outside of just the cyclists, just Instagram. It's going to be a brand that you can see everywhere in the city and beyond, wherever you guys travel.
Right.
I think that's a leap. I mean,
it's big.
We're really
cool.
excited about it.
Yeah.
And then all of the possibilities for content with the van and going places with the location at Central Machine. Yeah. Maybe next time we'll do the podcast in the container.
We'll do it
if
in the
there's
container.
if there's sufficient air conditioning.
Yeah.
There's a fan.
Okay. All right. Maybe
Let's
maybe
not do it in August.
BYO air conditioning.
Yeah. But I just think from me being a member and seeing the growth, like these are a couple things I'm super excited about for you all and for everyone.
I think it's exciting for everyone, because like we couldn't do this without having launched membership and having people support that. Like truly this would be nothing without like what Jordie said, the people. So it's like truly like we're just trying to like put everything back in pretty cool ways that we haven't been able to do up until this point.
Yeah, and just to hammer home what we talked about as far as support, members in year 2, go for the paid version, so we can keep having these incredible experiences, building memories with with friends, making new friends. We gotta keep it going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we're excited too about the membership for next year. We capped it at 100 this year just because we'd never done it before. We didn't want to mess up in a really big grand way. So if we were to mess up, so who knows what the potential is with that? We sold out last month? Yeah, we sold out last month. So it had only been out for 2 months, and we sold out. So hopefully next year.
Yeah, word gets around about the value.
Yeah, and I think too, like the word gets out about the value, and also we know what we're doing on our end a little bit more now to make it more beneficial for everybody. But big things ahead for us.
Because it is like, it's fun, but like none of us do this full time, so this adds a layer of we're more on the hook now to do stuff and provide value.
Accountability.
And it's like taking that on is a risk. It's rewarding, but it's like, we don't have all the time in the world to devote to this. We do have other, like,
Grant would love to work at Breakfast Club full time.
I'm the best unpaid intern right now.
I think that's a really important point for people that aren't as familiar with Breakfast Club and you guys. This is not a full-time. You've got your day jobs, and this is something that is being pieced together. Mornings, nights, weekends. So. Let's not take it for granted.
Yeah,
we
I think it'd be really
it.
cool to like look back maybe like in 10 years and be like, oh, look at our little cute container. Like, look how dinky it is. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
That'll be the time capsule.
I know.
You're going to bury a huge container
like
somewhere.
Like how Jeff Bezos was in his garage with Amazon. Like,
right.
That'll be like us with our little container.
Totally. Well, it sounds like we're in the early innings here, right, y'all?
Yeah.
The rainy innings, but we're there early.
Damn.
I'm not concerned. I think the sun will shine in Texas soon enough.
We'll be praying for rain actually in like a month. Yeah. So
take us back to when we cancel.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this has all been so exciting to hear about these new developments and really leaps from I think the last couple of years. So thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for sharing everything. And I guess let's meet again in another year or so and check back in.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.